When you land an interview for that dream job, that can be the most important interview of your life. So here to help is Shanna Landolt with tips to land that dream job after that interview, right?
Absolutely. So you've got the interview booked. One of the first things that you want to do is take a look at the job description itself and go through every single bullet point and ask yourself the question, tell me about a time when, for every single bullet point. 9 times out of 10, the interviewer is going to ask you questions specifically based on the job description.
Okay.
So if you practice that way, you're way ahead of the competition.
Okay.
Now, the next thing, Casey, that's really important is research. So a lot of people will think, I'll just go onto the company website.
Right.
But everybody does that. That's expected of you. So here's what I recommend. Google the person that's interviewing you.
Okay.
Go on their LinkedIn profile, see what their background is. See if you know anybody that's worked with them before. Call them up.
Okay.
And say, hey, can you tell me about this person? I'm interviewing with them. And even better, if that person is really close to them, you can say, hey, will you put in a good word for me?
Okay.
Look for things like blogs, where you can actually talk about something that you've read that the interviewer has written.
Okay.
Or even if they've got on their LinkedIn profile that they love skiing, or they love hockey, or they love reading. You can say, oh, I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you're an avid skier. Where do you ski?
Okay.
And it builds a sense of relationship. So the more research you do ahead of time, the better off you are in the interview.
Okay, so find a common ground if
Absolutely.
you can share it. Okay. Now talk about appearance. It can be, they'll judge you right off the bat, so that's got to be, an important one to cover.
Absolutely. So what you wear to an interview really matters. Now, everybody, your first thought is, oh, I'm interviewing, I should wear a suit, but that's not always the case.
Okay.
So you have to look at what's the environment that you're interviewing for. Now, if you're in a very corporate environment, say a bank, of course you'll wear a suit. Sure. But let's say if you're interviewing for a tech firm, well, maybe jeans are more important or more appropriate. So whatever you wear, you want to make sure that you fit in with everybody else that's there. You don't want to stand out, you want to blend, but be just that much more professional.
Okay. And then talk about what you're talking about if someone says, do you want a cup of coffee before the interview?
Sure. It's funny, when somebody offers you a coffee in an interview, the thing that most people think is, oh, I don't want to trouble them, I'll say no.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, inadvertently, you've just rejected the person that's interviewing you. So you always want to say yes.
Okay.
Yes to a coffee or yes to a water. And oftentimes now people will interview in a coffee shop. So if they offer to buy your coffee, say thank you. That's so kind of you.
Okay.
If you say no, you've rejected them or argued with them, and that's not how you want to start off.
Okay. Unless you're not a coffee drinker. Don't
if
get the double.
If you're not a coffee drinker, then you can say, hey, do you mind if I have a glass of water or a cup of tea or a Diet Coke?
Okay. What do you think is the biggest mistake people make going into an interview?
I think the biggest mistake that people make going into an interview is to not prepare and to not be specific. And it's easy to be humble in a sense where you think, well, I didn't do all of it, we had a team. But you actually this is the moment where you want to brag about yourself.
Okay.
You want to say, here's what I did, here's how I did it, here was the big victory. And there's no better time than to speak about your accomplishments than in an interview.
Okay. And this is also the time, get all your social media, LinkedIn, everything in order, organized before the interview, right?
Yeah, it's critical because you want to bet that the interviewer has Googled you. So they'll see your pictures on Facebook.
Right.
You actually want to clean up your social media presence. So make sure, that there aren't pictures that are too provocative, sometimes people have, or pictures of you partying, or if there's, say you've made comments, whether they're political comments or comments about other people where you've used language that's a little bit flamboyant, take them off the internet.
Okay.
I've actually had candidates not get the job because, the interviewer or the client saw something on the internet about them. So it's very important.
Okay. All right, Shanna, tell our viewers where they can go for more tips from you.
Absolutely. They can go to my website, which is www.landoltgroup.com, or they can email me, Shanna@landoltgroup.com.
Perfect. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thanks,
You're
Casey.
fabulous.